This is one of the first games I'm playing in the new patch 5.8, just a nice simple quick play lobby. But we're going to start off this game with the same plan as always, buying out everything that we can. We'll focus on pairs and evolutions, and also looking at synergies while keeping our region in mind. We'll glance through our opponent's boards and synergies. Business as usual. By round 3, I'm very fortunate to be able to make an amulet coin, something I'll always try to force in the early game unless I'm going for an open fort, which I actually try to avoid nowadays. But right away, I'm able to evolve myself a Lampent, who is a backline unit with 3 range, a great candidate for our amulet coin. We'll lock this Duskull in our shop for a potential early game ghost synergy, and we'll throw in some low damage dealing water Pokemon to help our Lampent get as many amulet coin kills as possible. Unfortunately, it only gets 1, but 1 is enough to get us to 10 money for that first interest bump. During item carousel, I pick up a second black glasses, which lets me make a Wonder Box. Wonder Box is a great early win streak item. And here I also decide to level up to level 4, because not only does that give me an extra Pokemon to help win this first battle, but this allows me to go for Water 3 synergy, making all of my water Pokemon just a little bit stronger with some extra PP generation, as well as give me some extra potential early game money through fishing. And the Wonder Box goes great. Our Lampent has some tanky items, allowing it to survive against our opponent's stronger Pokemon, and we earn a bunch of money off of that amulet coin. And as we use the amulet coin money earned to buy this Mudkip, our next round's fishing Pokemon is also a Mudkip, evolving us a Marshtomp. And with the Pokemon item draft, I have the option of adding a ghost artificial Pokemon to the game, and checking what other people have added, I see that Coughing is in the game, another artificial Pokemon, and since I have a Wonder Box, as well as some early ghost synergy, I think I can make this work, so I pick up the Sinistea, alongside a Nevermelt Ice. And in our next battle, once again, our Lampent, nestled in the corner, is able to pick up tons of kills with its amulet coin. And in round 6, I do yet another experience dump, bringing me up to level 5. That allows me to throw in a 5th Pokemon, Sinistea, which gives me Ghost Synergy. Ghost Synergy applies permanent curses during battles against our opponent's Pokemon, and Ghost Pokemon also gain Dodge Chance. Ghost 2 Synergy is going to put a defense lowering curse as well as flinch on one of our opponent's tankier Pokemons. It's represented by that purple spinning star thing, as well as that exclamation mark, which represents the flinch effect. Once we knock out that Charmander, it transfers over to the Dratini, and then transfers over to the Lairon, and that lets us take it down very quickly through its shield. And this round, I decide to swap out the Azurill for a Horsey. It's just a small upgrade in terms of unit strength. And in this battle, despite our opponent having an evolved Sandslash, as well as 2 other evolved Pokemon, our Ghost Synergy allows us to tear through our opponent's team super quickly, as our Lampent in the back impersonates a money printing machine. And despite spending a lot of money early on into experience points, we're already at 50 money before Gyarados. Our next Pokemon item trap doesn't have any artificial Pokemon, nor does it have any ghosts. So I decided to just grab this Heart Scale and Shieldon. I want to keep running this water and ghost combination in the early game, but I can use the Coughing in the shop to check out what artificial item I have. I do sell the Coughing after seeing what item it is, and I probably should have held on to it, just so that I could have forced an artificial portal when we got to that Gyarados round. And we'll face off our next opponent's team, who has a fully itemized Pikachu, as well as a Grovyle powered up by Grass Synergy. And that early game Muscle Band, as well as the Grass Synergy, is just too much for our team to burst through, which is going to finally end our early game win streak. Regardless, we are still sitting very strong with a ton of extra money. We're able to get to level 6 before Gyarados, and still have that 50 money stocked in our bank. And right here is when I realized, wait, why did I sell that Coughing? Because now I can no longer guarantee that there's going to be an artificial portal, and I might be forced to do one of my least favorite strategies, Vertical Ghost. And when people say vertical, that means focusing on only one synergy, and I don't like playing Vertical Ghost because not only is it very oppressive, it also doesn't feel very rewarding just winning because you found 8 ghost Pokemon, and none of your opponents made a fluffy tail, and that's another thing. It's also really annoying to lose as Ghost, because often the only reason that you lose with your Ghost team is because your opponent has built that fluffy tail. At least that's how things were in the previous patch. I have no idea how strong Ghost is in this patch, as it has gotten some nerfs. But here we go, this is our Uniques portal carousel. There are no artificial icons, as well as only a single ghost portal. That gets taken almost immediately, so I decide to go in the portal with an amorphous symbol. As far as the amorphous uniques go, there are a few ghost options, as well as an artificial Pokemon. And worst case scenario, I can try cooking up some amorphous water comp. I'm offered a Spiritomb and no other good options, at least not with the Pokemon and items I currently have. So it looks like I have become the villain of this game, and I pick up that Spiritomb. I found a pretty strong late game ghost in Snorunt, and we'll rework our team to give ourselves Ghost 4 synergy, as well as Artificial 2 synergy thanks to this coughing that I found in the shop. We gain an Artificial synergy item in Electrizer, which grants attack speed, as well as draining our opponent's PP and giving them paralysis on every third attack. And using this Larvitar, I can also hit Dark 3 synergy, which is going to give our Dark Pokemon increased crit chance and crit damage. Looking back, the best thing I could have done here was actually sell that Lampent and give the amulet coin to my high damage dealing Spiritomb, and then I'd also use the Snorunt in place of that Lampent. But regardless, my team is very strong enough to beat our opponent's Dragon 5 team, making great use of that Ghost 4 synergy curse. And as we continue onwards, I pick up a Pumpkaboo and a Miracle Seed. Right now, I'm lacking frontline, and that is something that Ghost can struggle with, so Pumpkaboo is going to be a great addition to my frontline. Here, I also decide to dump a little bit of money into experience, bringing me to level 7. That allows me to throw the Snorunt in, giving me Ghost 6 synergy. And here, I also realized that I put the artificial item on the wrong Pokemon. It should go on my Spiritomb for sure. So I make that swap over, as well as equip it a Punching Glove. And here we'll face off another strong grass team. Different one than the one that beat us previously, but still very strong with a bunch of evolved Pokemon. With our team reworked, as well as that very strong Spiritomb, we're able to burst through our opponent's grass healing, and that's going to be a pretty comfortable win for me. Alright, we got an item carousel here. My goal for item carousels is to deny players that are ahead of me the opportunity of making a Fluffy Tail. So I want to pick up Heart Scales and Black Glasses. There's 3 of them in this carousel, which 2 of them get taken immediately, but I can at least stop the Golem player, as well as that Greninja player from getting the last Black Glasses. I'm also able to evolve my Sinistee into Polteageist? I'll call it Polteageist. That's a really stupid name, but I do like the way it looks. It's a pretty cool Pokemon. I don't do anything else this round, so we'll just jump right into the battle. It's against our opponent's Bug team. Bug is actually a pretty interesting potential counter to Ghost, as it creates a bunch of cloned Pokemon. And the idea is that the cloned Pokemon will overwhelm the number of curses that the Ghost can apply. But in this battle, we were just way ahead of our opponent, and we win it super easily. Alright, this round I do decide to spend a little bit of money into rolling, and I pick up a Honedge, which is great because it has Ghost and Artificial synergy. I'm also able to find a second Duskull and lock a second Pumpkaboo in the shop. And right now I'm starting to think about going for a potential Ghost 6, Artificial 4, or maybe even Artificial 6 if possible, as my endgame team. For that to happen, I'll basically need 6 Ghost Pokemon and 6 Artificial Pokemon, and 3 of those Pokemon will have to overlap. We already have 2 Ghost Artificial Pokemon, and the last would have to be Shuppet, which is a late game Ultra Pokemon. So if we do try to go for this late game, it's going to take quite a while. Regardless, I'm just doing what I can to avoid going vertical Ghost, not because it's weak, but because I find it unsatisfying. Okay, maybe a tiny bit satisfying, but also very evil, so we'll continue along with Artificial in mind. Alright, this round I finally realized that the amulet coin would go better on my Spiritomb, so that's goodbye to Lampent. I put the Wonder Box on Honedge, since with Artificial synergy active, artificial Pokemon benefit the most from many items, and from the shop, I'm able to find Elekid, which is a 4th artificial Pokemon. It gives me Incense, which is not the greatest, but it can help with finding some more artificial and ghost Pokemon. With the rewards that we get for beating Mew and Mewtwo, I pick up a Heart Scale and make a Pokédoll. That's going to go on our Honedge, making our frontline even more tanky. I also roll the shop once and I find a 3rd Pumpkaboo, which would evolve me Gourgeist. I decide to buy it, going below 50 money this round. Gourgeist is pretty cool since it can steal your opponent's items, including stripping a Fluffy Tail off of a super tanky frontline Pokemon. In this battle against our opponent's monster dragon team, if you watch the Gourgeist, you can see it steal the max revive off of the Aggron, and you'd think that would steal the resurrection effect, but unfortunately it doesn't work that way. Not sure if that's a bug or not, but that's fine, we still win super easily. With that win, we can get to level 8 and activate our Artificial Force Synergy. We'll throw that incense on our Poltegeist, and we also have Steel 2 synergy activated. Not really that impactful, but a little bit of extra true damage never hurts. This round, I also decide to make a max revive. I don't equip it in time, but it's a helpful item in ghost comps. Our next opponent has a field team with some very scary fully evolved Pokemon. Field has seen some very nice buffs in this patch, but it's still not enough to beat my ghost team. Yes, we do have a 2 Pokemon lead, but come on, this seems so oppressive and dominating. I would not be feeling good if I was my opponent. During the next carousel, look at this, 2 artificial Pokemon in the shop. As my item for the carousel, I pick up yet another Black Glasses. That's great because it means I can make yet another Wonder Box, as well as deny that first place player from hopefully being able to make a Fluffy Tail. I'll go ahead and make a Wonder Box and throw it on that Beldum, as well as a Max Revive. I can also quickly check to see what is my final artificial item, and it is Silk Scarf. That is quite disappointing, especially considering the changes to shielding this patch. If I understand correctly, hitting shields no longer generates PP, which makes it a lot weaker. And in this battle, we face off against the player in first, no Fluffy Tail in sight, and while our frontline is performing decently, our opponent has Floral Synergy, which is able to send a Pokemon into our backline, and their Bayleaf is also able to paralyze our entire backline. In the end, our backline is not able to puncture through our opponent's tanky frontline. Even though we're doing a little bit more damage than them, they have tons of healing from Grass Synergy, and will lose yet again to that Grass Floral team. We're still sitting in second place, so not bad at all. I did notice that the Grass player didn't have any Fluffy Tails, so I could just go Ghost 8 and beat them. But with 2 Wonder Boxes and the amount of artificial Pokemon I already have, I really want to make this artificial team work. We've got a Legendary coming up, and Mewtwo would be amazing. Magearna could also do well, but I'm not the biggest fan of Genesect or Xurkitree. And as we continue towards level 9 and making slow improvements to our team, we'll face off against this Dragon Fossil team. They definitely have some very strong Pokemon, but we outnumber them both in terms of Pokemon and items thanks to those Wonder Boxes and artificial items. We'll be taking yet another win here with big damage coming from our Spiritomb, as we move on to facing Lugia and Ho-Oh. So I would love to see an artificial portal and get Mewtwo. Magearna is fine too, but there are also some pretty good ghost options, especially Darkrai, which would give us Dark Synergy, as well as the option of going Amorphous over Artificial 6. But let's take a look at this carousel. There's one portal with Ghost and Artificial symbols, but it's on the opposite side of my character. That portal also has a Grass symbol, and I know that Golem player wants Grass. So as soon as I see that Golem player walking towards that portal, I know I won't beat them to it, so I have to cut my losses and go for the other Ghost portal instead. With our choice of legendaries, I do have the option to go for Artificial with Genesect, as well as 2 Ghost Pokemon to choose from. I decide to go for Marshadow, who admittedly is one of my least favorite Pokemon in the game. He's extremely tanky with the right items, and he can steal stats, making him an absolute menace in certain comps. And with this Marshadow, I pretty much just decide to go full evil mode and go Ghost 8. It did get nerfed this patch, but I think it'll still be strong enough to defeat that Grass player. I'll be able to get back to Artificial Force Energy if I get that Shuppet, but for now, we are going to be playing my least favorite team. Ghost 8 Synergy activates a curse which will simply just kill your opponent's strongest Pokemon after 7 seconds. That's a straight up counter to the tanky healing Grass Pokemon, and we know that player did not make a Fluffy Tail, so this is likely enough to win the game, as long as our Pokemon stay alive long enough, and as long as that opponent doesn't find the Fluffy Tail. We'll see this team in action right away against another Grass team. This player does have a Fluffy Tail active on their Turtwig, but the Ghost 8 curse represented by the candle was targeting their Sceptile. Without the Sceptile, their front line absolutely melts, and the rest of their team puts on a decent fight, but ultimately gets taken down by our healthy back line. This round, I'm able to evolve my Honedge into Doublade. I also decide to sell the Trubbish I've been using with Artificial Synergy to bring me up to just enough experience to guarantee level 9 by the next round. And rolling through the shop, I pick up a Fuecoco, who will certainly be an upgrade to the placeholder Litwick. and we'll face off against this huge bug team with 3 whole clone Pokemon. Despite not being too threatened by the ghost curses, our frontline is extremely tanky, and our backline just does too much damage. Our Doublade making a lot of use from its Wonder Box as it pulled a Lucky Egg, and that Lucky Egg allowed it to dodge a lot more attacks than it should have. During this item carousel, there's a lot of good choices. I would love the Pokédoll or the Green Orb, as that would give my Marshadow some even more tankiness. I'm lucky enough to grab the Green Orb, which will give its holder as well as all adjacent Pokemon some extra healing. And while I hit level 9 this round, what I'm actually looking for most is a Dark Pokemon. That would allow me to hit Dark 3 synergy, giving all my Dark Pokemon crit chance and crit damage. Ultimately, I'm able to pick up Purloin, who's decent. It can inflict flinching as well as reduce ability power, but ultimately it doesn't really matter which Dark Pokemon I use. The buffs are mainly for my Spiritomb. Spiritomb has consistently been my main damage dealer throughout this game, so I'm happy to have whatever I can to make it stronger. I'll consider going for Artificial 4 if I do find that Shuppet, but my team as it stands is very strong. Our next battle is against a Dark Fairy team. This team is not too threatening as their itemization is all whack. And I want to give a quick shout out to Sinistea, who's sort of been an unsung hero. Sinistea's ability has been providing my team with a lot of healing, definitely super useful for keeping our front line alive as long as possible. This round, I evolved my Snorunt into Glalie, one of the ugliest evolutions. Snorunt is an absolutely fantastic looking Pokemon, but why did Game Freak have to do him like that? Regardless, it's becoming a very nice addition to our backline. It's able to do a ton of damage even without items. As we rematch against the grass player in first place, their super tanky Torterra succumbs to our Ghost 8 curse, but they've still got our very strong Maractus, as the curse switches over to Meganium, as our Doublade and Marshadow aren't able to damage, but it doesn't matter, the curse takes it down as it switches over to Shaman. Our Doublade pulls the Maractus away from our backline, allowing our backline to target the much squishier Cherim. Shaman succumbs to the curse, and now it's Maractus's turn, and with the rest of the team taken down by our damage dealing Pokemon, we'll be breaking that first place player's win streak after a very long and drawn out battle. Alright, at level 9 and with this much health, we can just try to maintain our position and get as many evolutions as we can. We can play patiently and just try to maintain our advantage, knowing that we can beat the player in first place. After beating this non-player round, we can pick up a Reaper Cloth, which is great for us. It allows its holder's spells to critical hit. That pairs very nicely with our Dark Synergy active, and I'll give that to the Dark Duskull, who already has a crit boosting item. I also evolved my Fuecoco into Crocolore. Crocolore, despite being a ranged Pokemon, actually makes for a decent frontline Pokemon because it has a lot of HP and some good tanky stats. But rolling through the shop, I also pick up a Ghastly. Also, I totally ignore the Shuppets. Ghastly is a great late game Pokemon. Its ability can silence enemy Pokemon, and it also has Ghost Synergy. But the problem is that I'll have to replace one of my current Ghost Pokemon, and they're all really strong right now. Even the unevolved Duskull, as it's providing my team with Dark Synergy. I mean, look at the damage charts. It's even able to keep up with my other Pokemon. So as we take this win and knock out this dragon player, I'm thinking about which ghost should I replace. First things first, let's try to evolve it into a Haunter. Also during this round, as I roll through the shop, I pick up a Pawniard. Pawniard can replace the Litten, as it's a very strong late game dark Pokemon. It also activates Steel Synergy, and we'll pick up our second Ghastly as we face off against that grass player again. Once again, no Fluffy Tail, and our front line is too tanky for them to take out. Our Ghost Curses are bouncing from target to target, and our Spiritomb in the backline continues to do tons of damage. Marshadow and Doublade being disruptive as always. With the curses completely crippling our opponent's team, we're able to win these matches very easily. We got an item carousel in which I'll pick up a Muscle Band to give our Marshadow some scaling defense and damage. I'm also able to evolve a second Doublade as well as pick up that Haunter. Haunter will take the place of Crocolore, since I am not too far away from evolving my Glalie into Frostlass. And I also want to keep the Gourgeist because stealing items is fun. Last thing I do this round is pick up a Ditto, and as we face off against that opponent again, looks like this time they have a Bug Synergy active, and as I said before, Bug is kind of a counter to Ghost Curses, and our opponent's team actually does a pretty good job at overwhelming our front line. But in the end, our Marshadow with the Green Orb remains unkillable. It's picked up tons of stats from its Muscle Band. And of course there's Spiritomb continuing to do tons of damage. Not to forget the Sinistea, who's providing the team tons of healing. And that's going to be yet another win, carried by the unkillable Marshadow. As we approach a non-player round, we finally evolve Duskull into Dusclops. We'll pick up a second Ditto and lock a third one in the shop, as well as a Pawniard. Taking down the legendary dogs, I decide to pick up a Smoke Ball, because a lot of our opponent's damage is coming from their Shaman in the backline. With our Pawniard equipped with that Smoke Ball, just kidding, it is now a Bisharp, but the Bisharp will hopefully be able to jump into that backline and kill the Shaman, or it will take a bunch of damage and activate the Smoke Ball, completely disrupting our opponent's backline. Also, check out the fully evolved Frostlass, a much cooler looking Pokemon than Glalie. But as we approach this battle, let's watch that Bisharp and see the Smoke Ball plan in action. It does successfully jump into the backline and aggroes our opponent's backline, but it's not quite attacking the Shaman. But that's okay though, as it's silenced, and it picks up that Ghost Curse. Our Marshadow is still at full health, and our backline is doing more damage than ever thanks to that Frostlass. And in the end, somehow our Bisharp stayed alive the entire round and was leading our team in damage. And as we approach the last rounds of the game, we pretty much have this in the bag. But let's see if we can squeeze out just one more evolution in Aegislash, or perhaps get a Banette. As I spend down to 10 money, I don't find anything, so let's watch another battle. A similar battle as last time, we can see lots of damage coming in from our Bisharp and backline. Haunter is able to silence the entire enemy team. Marshadow is still unkillable. Poltegeist is providing lots of healing. And of course, impact from our Frostlass and Doublade. It's a true team effort. Our opponent survives with 1 HP, so let's see in this final round, can I get that one last evolution? The answer is no, but it's really not needed to win this game, so let's just watch the final battle. So that was a Vertical Ghost game post-nerf. Let me know if you think that's still fair. I don't know how to feel about this one. If my opponent had worked for that Fluffy Tail, this game could have gone completely differently for me. I would have certainly pivoted towards artificials. But a win is a win, and I'm glad to be back. Hopefully be posting more often. Thanks for everyone's continued support. I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers, which is insane to me. It really means the world to me that so many people enjoy my videos. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.